Alysa Liu, a Chinese immigrant who built a modest life in California's Bay Area, brought his 5-year-old daughter to the Oakland Ice Center one ordinary afternoon, inspired by his admiration for Michelle Kwan. Watched her glide across the ice with an innate ease that coaches might see once in a decade, and made a decision that would consume the next 10 years of both their lives completely. He told CBS 60 Minutes that he spared no money and no time, estimated he spent between $500,000 and $1 million on private coaching, international travel, ice time before dawn, costumes, choreographers, and sports psychologists. All of it funneled toward a single goal of turning his daughter's gift into something the world could not ignore. And the world could not. By 13 years old, Alysa Liu walked onto the ice at the 2019 U.S. Figure Skating Championships as a teenager who barely reached her competitors' shoulders and walked off as the youngest senior national champion in the history of the sport, breaking a record that had belonged to Tara Lipinski, landing multiple triple axels that most elite women simply do not attempt. She defended the national title in 2020, dominated junior circuits, became one of the only American women to consistently land the triple axel in international competition, and was being compared to the Russian skaters who had ruled the sport for an entire generation, except she was from Oakland, raised without a state-run sports factory, and built on a foundation that was about to crack from the inside. She later told reporters that for most of her early career, skating never felt like her own, that it was basically her father's business and not really hers, and that single sentence from the most technically gifted young American figure skater of her generation carries more weight than any title or national record she produced during those years. The rink had been her entire world since age 5. The pressure and expectation and the burden of being someone else's total investment had been quietly building underneath every flawless program and standing ovation, and by 16 years old, the gilded cage her father built with love and $1 million had become something she could no longer stay inside. In April 2022, fresh off a 7th-place finish at the Beijing Olympics and a World Championships bronze medal that would have been a career launching pad for any other skater, Alysa Liu posted an Instagram message announcing her retirement at 16, and the figure skating world responded with genuine bewilderment because nobody in her position had ever simply walked away like that before. Her explanation was not dramatic and not complicated. She said she was so into skating that she really did not do much else, that skating takes up your whole life almost, and that there were many, many times when she did not enjoy it, which is the most honest possible summary of what years of total immersion in someone else's dream does to a human being who never got to choose it for themselves. What followed her retirement was almost unprecedented in elite athletics, a genuinely unscheduled and gloriously normal freedom that included trekking to Everest Base Camp, taking road trips with friends through landscapes with no destination, enrolling at UCLA, eating without her nutrition being monitored, and waking up without a training schedule waiting for her like a mourning obligation she could not refuse. For almost 2 years, she remained entirely separate from competitive skating, and crucially, she did not miss it. The ice was simply the past, a chapter closed with intention and not regret, until an early 2024 ski trip gave her a physical adrenaline rush she had not felt since her last competition, and she described it afterward by saying it feels so similar to skating. And just like that, the curiosity that changes everything was awakened. She called her coach, she resumed training at Lakewood Ice in California while attending UCLA, she set her own schedule and pulled back when she felt she was overtraining and took more ice time when she wanted it,
She chose her own music and shaped her own choreography, and nobody in this new version of her skating life had permission to control any variable she had not explicitly offered them. The comeback was initially quiet and cautious and fueled entirely by joy rather than pressure. She won on her return at the Budapest Trophy in October 2024, and while some rust was visible, the underlying quality was unmistakable in the way that elite talent, which truly belongs to the person carrying it, does not diminish during rest, but waits and deepens and matures until it is chosen again freely.
At the 2025 World Championships, Alysa Liu, the girl who had walked away at 16 to hike mountains and live without a scoreboard, won the World Championship title in one of modern figure skating's most surprising results, completed the narrative shift from cautionary tale to comeback story, and set up what came next in a way that made the entire sport hold its collective breath. What came next was February 19, 2026, Milan, the Olympic free skate. Sitting in third after the short program, close enough to taste the lead, but far enough back to feel the danger, she took the ice to Donna Summer's MacArthur Park suite and delivered 7 clean triple jumps with a triple Lutz triple toe combination that made judges lean forward in their seats. Her total score of 226.79 vaulted her past the entire field. Third place became first. The arena erupted as the final notes faded. She flicked her ponytail and took her bow with a real smile rather than a practiced camera smile. And with that performance, she became the first American woman to win individual Olympic gold in figure skating in 24 years, while also holding a team gold from days earlier as a double Olympic champion at 20 years old. The financial picture surrounding that victory tells its own story, because Alysa Liu spent between $500,000 and $1 million building this athlete. Alysa's estimated net worth entering the Olympics was $500,000, and on the surface, that arithmetic looks painful until you understand that the post-Olympic earnings curve was only just beginning to climb when the scoreboard flashed her winning total. She entered Milan with existing partnerships with Samsung, Nike, and Gillette Venus, 3 global marketing powerhouses whose deals were built on potential and would now be renegotiated based on verified achievement. Because an Olympic gold medal that ends a 24-year national drought and arrives wrapped in a comeback narrative that every sports network on the planet covered simultaneously does not just validate existing deals, but multiplies market value in ways that are impossible to overstate. She is 20 years old, photogenic, culturally bilingual as a Chinese-American athlete with enormous appeal in both the United States and Asia, enrolled at UCLA, which makes her relatable to a demographic every brand desperately wants to reach, and she skates with an authentic joy that photographs better than any choreographed elegance, because in an era where authenticity matters more than perfection, she is the most genuine thing in the sport. The most pivotal moment in Alysa Liu's entire journey was not standing on the Milan podium with 2 gold medals around her neck. It was the quiet April afternoon in 2022 when she chose herself over the machine, looked at everything she had built, and decided that none of it was worth continuing if she could not do it on her own terms. A decision that could have permanently closed every competitive door she had ever opened. 2 years away from top-level competition is not a sabbatical in elite sports, and for most athletes, it is an irreversible farewell. But the talent she walked away from waited for her exactly where she left it, and the Alysa Liu who won gold in Milan was technically better, emotionally present, and genuinely free in a way that the exhausted 16-year-old at the Beijing Olympics was never given the opportunity to be.
Her father spent $1 million. The sport consumed her childhood. The pressure shaped and scarred and nearly extinguished the very gift it was supposed to nurture. And yet, here she stands, at 20 years old, as a double Olympic champion, world champion, and the face of American figure skating, with an earning potential that is only beginning to reflect what she actually represents to every brand, every network, and every young athlete watching. The lesson that will outlast every medal and endorsement deal is not about talent or sacrifice or investment. It is about the cost of discovering who you are when you reach the top, and whether the person standing on the podium is someone you recognize. And Alysa Liu smiled after Milan, not for cameras or brands or the father who spent $1 million on a belief she did not yet have in herself, but because she was genuinely and freely and expensively happy for the first time in as long as she could remember.